Did you see a gorilla run by here?
No.
Did you see a...
Gorilla?
So I was wondering, you wouldn't happen to be hiding any gorillas underneath them clothes, would you? She wants me.
Why Johnny Bravo never found love is one of those topics that sounds funny on the surface. But the more you think about it, the more layered it gets. Johnny wasn't just unlucky with women. He was the embodiment of how confidence without self-awareness becomes comedy, not charisma. From the moment he flexed in that mirror, we already knew what was about to happen. See, Johnny had the muscle, the hair, the swagger, but he was missing the most important thing: connection. He never took time to actually learn who these women were, what they liked, what they felt. He was stuck in a one-track loop, chasing admiration instead of affection. He was addicted to attention, not intimacy. And that right there is what makes Johnny Bravo such a clever piece of satire. Kids saw the funny muscle guy who couldn't catch a break, but adults now can see that the show was clowning the very idea of the perfect ladies' man. It was a mirror held up to shallow culture, the world of vanity, fame, and image. Johnny was the guy who thought he was in control, when really he was just a walking punchline. Every rejection was karma hitting instantly, and every episode was a lesson he refused to learn. He never evolved. He never said, maybe I should change how I talk to women. Instead, he'd dust himself off, flex again, and repeat the same mistake, like he was allergic to growth. That's what made his loneliness so tragic and so funny at the same time. He was always almost there. He'd meet someone who seemed different, someone who maybe liked him for his goofy side, but he'd ruin it within seconds by saying something narcissistic. He didn't realize that being confident doesn't mean you have to be cocky. There's a difference between knowing your worth and being full of yourself. His whole persona was built on a front. Deep down, he was insecure. You could see it in the way he never stopped trying to prove something. He couldn't handle being ignored because attention was the only love he understood. Another layer to this is how Johnny Bravo flipped gender dynamics in a way most cartoons didn't. It showed women being smart, independent, and unimpressed. The women in his world had standards. They were the punchline to his ignorance, but it was way ahead of its time in how it dealt with male ego and rejection. The show made it clear you can't force attraction and you can't fake genuine respect. But what's crazy is that Johnny wasn't mean-spirited. He wasn't out to hurt anyone. He didn't see rejection as a chance to reflect. He saw it as bad luck. He kept chasing love the way he chased fame, thinking if he just said the right line or flexed the right way, he'd win someone over. But love isn't about performance, it's about presence. And Johnny never learned to be present. He was in love with the idea of being loved, not with anyone real. That's why the show was low-key deep. It used comedy to teach emotional intelligence. Even though Johnny was always the joke, you couldn't help but feel a little bad for him. He represented every person who puts on an act to hide how lonely they are. He was surrounded by people, Susie, Pops, Bunny Bravo, yet he never actually connected. His mom loved him unconditionally, but he brushed that off because he craved external validation. It's like the show was saying, you already have love around you, but you're too blind to see it. And that blindness is why Johnny never grew out of his loop. Each episode reset because he never truly learned anything. It was a metaphor for how some people go through life making the same mistakes in love, thinking everyone else is the problem. Johnny never realized he was the common denominator. The moment he would have reflected and changed, the show's entire premise would have broken, because the comedy was his ignorance. But in a weird way, that's what made him relatable. We all know someone who means well but can't get out of their own way. Someone who mistakes confidence for connection, or attention for affection. The sad part is that Johnny Bravo was actually capable of love. We saw glimpses of his softer side, like when he helped kids, or when he accidentally did something kind. Those moments showed that there was a heart underneath all that gel and ego. But he'd always snap back into his routine because that's all he knew. It's like his identity was trapped inside that pompadour. So even when someone might have liked him, they never got a chance to meet the real him, because even he didn't know who that was. Johnny Bravo is basically a case study in toxic masculinity before that term was even mainstream. He wasn't evil, he was a reflection of bad role models. The show came out in the late 90s, when media was still pushing that macho equal to desirable mindset, but Johnny Bravo turned that on its head. It was like, nah, this is what happens when you take that too far. It was an exaggerated warning. Be confident, not conceited. Be bold, not blind. And what's interesting is, In later episodes, you start to notice Johnny getting more depth. Still clueless, but a little more human. That's the beauty of his character. Even though he never found love romantically, he became a sort of symbol of self-love gone wrong. He loved himself so much, he forgot to share any of that love with someone else. It's poetic and funny at the same time. So when people ask, why didn't Johnny Bravo ever find love? The real answer is because he wasn't ready for it. Love requires vulnerability, and Johnny was too busy flexing to open up. You can't find love until you stop performing and start being real. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from the show. Being lovable isn't about being perfect, ripped, or smooth. It's about being authentic. If Johnny ever learned that lesson, maybe then he'd finally find what he was looking for. Not a date, but a connection.